What's up, guys? In this video you're gonna see the entire restoration in about 10 minutes. There's a ton to this restoration, so if there's any part, the whole build series is completely documented, so if there's any part that interests you, be sure to go check it out. Hope you enjoy this video because a lot of time and effort went into this one. What's up, guys? Here's a quick little walk around of the Jeep. It's a 1981 CJ7 and it's really a very good candidate for restoration because it's in pretty rough shape, as you can see by these dents and things, but it's not too bad. As you can see by the underside, there's only a little bit of surface rust and things like that. Here's this engine. It's a straight 6 from AMC. It did well, but it wasn't really what we wanted, and the transmission was totally shot. It could only stay in first gear. So we decided to pull it out and replace it with something else. Here's the old engine out of the car. So yeah, it's pretty old and it was run down. So here's its replacement. It's a Chevy 350HO from Chevy Performance with 333 horsepower and 400 torque. It's really gonna get the Jeep down the road. Here's the transmission. It's mounted to an AX15 5-speed. It came in later model Jeeps and is a perfect fit for our application. Here's an alternator kit. We have AC, water pump, alternator. There's our rebuilt Dana 300, which we kept. And here's us mocking up the motor placement so we don't hit the radiator or hit the firewall or have any clearance issues like that. So once we realized our clearances were on point, we finalized and welded in the motor mounts, as well as we cut up the front bumper a little bit because the previous owner made it a part of the frame and it wasn't bad. We just had to make it, look a little more angular. And now it's time for disassembly. It's just stuff like removing the taillights, removing the instrument cluster, all the rat nest of wiring, taking out the heater core. You can see a bunch of leaves, wasp nests, rat nests. It was pretty bad. So now it's time to remove the body from the frame. This is a pretty big milestone because we're going to get the body sent off to Soda Blast. And then, so here is the bare frame. It's in very good condition, so all we have to do now is strip it down, and then here's us carrying it off to get powder coated. So like I said, we got the body soda blasted and it looks really good. There's only a couple of trouble spots, like this rear quarter panel where there's that big dent and big rust hole which we didn't know about. There's also this floor panel, and here's us welding on a new replacement panel, as well as replacing this back piece that was also damaged in whatever accident he was in. Also, that little rust hole on the floor. The next thing we did was put a skim coat of bondo on it, and then we were able to tell after sanding that off what the low and high spots were. As you can see, there is this extra bondo we used to fill in some of those low spots after we hammered them in. Here's us applying Monster Liner. We applied it to the underside as well as inside the tub. This is a cool little time lapse, and Monster Liner is really great stuff. It's quick, DIY, as you can see, and it looks really good. So here's a walk around of everything we did. Not only did we do the underside, but we also did under the hood, like anywhere in the engine bay. So under the hood, the inside of the fenders, and also the wheel wells on both sides. Here's a little bit of block sanding to really make sure we have a straight Jeep. And here's the inside tub. We really took our time on this, made it look really good. We're going on 4 or 5 coats on the footwells where it's going to rub off more. And here's the frame and everything back from powder coat. We got the roll bar done in a wrinkle finish and everything else done in a gloss black, like between satin black and gloss black mixture. Here's the tires. They're 33-inch. General grabbers, 10.5 ratio on 15-inch rims. They totally make the Jeep and go with the color combo. So here's us putting on like the fenders, the grill, the hood and windshield, things like that, as well as the tailgate, just so we can do a final line check and things like that before we send it off to paint, just so we can really ensure that the body lines are correct. And as you can see with all this metal, it's looking really cool. Here's our axle we put under it. We didn't really do a complete rebuild because I'm looking for 410s in the future, but for now these will do. Here's just a little more bondo sanding. We also filled in all the vents and unnecessary gauges in the dash to really give it a simplistic look, and I think it helps a lot. So here's those general grabbers, and like I said, they look really good on CJs. So now we're just rolling it off to Mako to get a pretty cheap but decent paint job, because it is a Jeep and I want to wheel it and I don't want it to be too nice. So this is when we start to get really excited. Alright, so here we are rolling it back into the garage about a week later. We decided to go with a factory JK color. It's called Anvil, and I love how this looks. I fell in love with this color ever since I saw an Anvil Jeep with these general grabbers. So here's us installing things like the roll bar, the rear bumper, as well as some side steps, and we built all this stuff on our own. So there's individual videos on that if you want to check it out. Here's us installing the engine, and as you can see, we've got the red, black, and Anvil color combo really come together with the spark plug wires, and I just think is rocking it. Alright, so that was a little bit of a scary moment because we didn't really know if the engine would fit. I mean, we test fit it before, but then after that we had to do stuff like this clutch linkage. That was really hard. Just all the linkages really take a lot of time in a restoration, especially like an engine swap like this. Here's the spare tire on it. It's looking really good. And all our gas lines, fuel lines, all kind of like fluid systems are all new. And here's our new radiator in there. It looks really good with everything. We got an I Did It steering column. So after all that stuff was in, we moved on to the front rotors and locking hubs. Here's me assembling those. And then in this next clip, you'll see the rat nest of wiring. And the wiring on this car wasn't too bad, but wiring is wiring and it can be difficult. Here's the exhaust. We just did a little short exhaust with Flowmaster Super 44 mufflers, so we don't make the neighbors too angry. Here's the first start. This was by no means the first crank, but this just so happened to be when it started for the first time.
Yes, sir.
So as you can hear, this is going to be quite the engine in this little Jeep. So we need some seats that back it up. We got some Corbro racing seats with some red harnesses. I mean, it's kind of just like a racer thing because I really like how it looks with the blue, but it's cool. So here's the first drive. It had a little bit of an issue. We had a couple of spark plug wires that were flipped, so it's going to pop a little bit. But other than that, it was a pretty good drive, and we were able to fix that and identify it rather quickly. So with the popping fix and the engine totally under control, we decided to install the cool things like the soft top, and it really kind of changed the whole look of the Jeep. Here's like our second maiden voyage and just cruising around. And guys, this is kind of the final point of this build. We built a beautiful Jeep. If you want to see some more driving footage later in the future, you should totally check out the channel.
Alright guys, thanks for watching. This was an awesome build. It's completely registered, insured, road legal, and everything right now. So if you like this build, you should totally subscribe because we're having weekly uploads and you'll see a lot more of this thing off-road, on-road, and just anything. And it's a beautiful car, and I think it made quite a transformation. Thanks for watching.